Alright then, there's the motor holder unit, and you can see how it's held on two sides, so that's going to keep this gear mesh nicely placed. And here's the unit there. I'm not sure how this comes out to replace it, or if it's a complete unit intact like that. It actually is very smooth. It's very smooth. It's I suppose it's bushings in there, the slim pin type arrangement in there, but this is very smooth in there, so that's good. And the motor I've taken out here. The motor just goes up through that hole there with its pinion. The motor just goes up through there. And you just wiggle it a bit, get it through the hole, and wiggle it a bit more to make sure that you're not jamming tooth against tooth. You just, so maybe it's not in view right now. Yeah, so there's the small hole, there's the motor with pinion on it, and you just put it through there and wiggle it a bit to get it through, and wiggle it a bit more to get it to go past, you know, up, meet the gears, and so you don't like mash any of these little nylon type plastic or whatever teeth on there, and that'll go right up to sit so that the gear is about halfway on the pinion. And when you pull up on the gear shaft here, it doesn't go above the pinion. So you gotta push it all the way up. And the motor's held in there fairly well. It doesn't spin easily, so that's it there. And as I said, I'm not sure if this unit comes apart. I'm going to take another look at it, because it's got a hex shape on this plastic thing. I have a feeling that it will come apart, and that's for gripping, because the props themselves are just round inside. When they go on there, they're round, they're not that shape, so I think that's for gripping this. This shape is for gripping it, and then maybe turn it. I'm not sure. I think when you grip this and turn the, or hold the, I think when you hold the gear and turn this, it'll unscrew, and then the thing will drop out this end. That's what I think with the bushings. Pin with the bushings will drop out this end. So to put them back in, is just the reverse of taking them out. Make sure those are pushed all the way in, all the way on top. And then when you're reassembling it, all you have to do is make sure that these wires aren't situated right on top of any of the screw holes. Make sure they're not sitting on top of that, because when you put the screw in, it'll drill through the wire. So you make sure that they, usually you'll see a crimp in the wire where it was going around that hole there. So either way, you just get the wires in there, and these LEDs will pop out, and they've got a little thing that they sit on. They've got a little, I can't see it too well right now, but they've got a little thing there that they sit on that keeps them in place. And right there. And so you just make sure you avoid putting the wires when you put the shell halves together, make sure the wires aren't there. And if you're putting in the screws and you feel any resistance, or if the two shells don't meet together properly, that'll be the probable reason. Either the wire's like hanging outside between the two halves of the shell edges, or there's a wire over top of that. So when you're putting the shell together, if it doesn't just clip down nicely, check to make sure what your wires are doing in there before you put a screw through it. And the LEDs are conveniently done with plug-ins. The motor's not so. The motors you solder on or cut the wires. If you get motors with shorter wires, then that would be your only option. Your best option would just be to cut the wires and join them together with tape them up, and that's it. So to show you, there's still screws falling out of it. To show you the screw holes that you take apart, first you take off the propeller with the screw hole right there. You take the propellers off, pull them off. They just pull right off after you take the screw out. And there's a screw in here, the screw here on the edge of the whole motor holder, a screw here, a screw here, two screws on each side of the battery bay, and inside the battery bay there's a screw right there. That's an important one. Don't forget to take that one out. I mean, if you don't, it'll seem to come apart but still be held. That'll be the one bothering you. But yeah, so just make sure all those screws are taken out. One is well, that one was loosened up, not out. Maybe you can get it to fall out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 2, 16, and one in the battery bay is 17 screws, and the 4 prop screws. So 21 screws total, I think. And that's it. So I hope this helps you if you need to replace a motor. You know what's in this side there now, and any of the pitfalls that you might run into. And all the LEDs have some little thing to hold them in place, like that has one right there too, a little nub there, right there, and that'll hold that LED in place. That's the trickiest thing on the whole thing, apart from making sure that the wires don't sit, on top of the screw holes, is just fitting in this little LED and keeping that in there when you're putting this LED lens back in, because it'll tend to pop out a little bit, but you can wrestle that in just fine. That'll be like that, right? Make sure the LED's sitting back down in its spot. Yeah. Okay.